In New York City, a 23-year-old biology student is on the edge of a discovery that could change the world. Clean, unlimited energy. But strange accidents and a feeling of being watched follow her through the streets and subway tunnels. Then a 26-year-old man appears with an impossible warning. He's a guardian sent from the future, and something else has been sent too. As an android killer closes in, the only chance to survive may be a weapon powered by her own breakthrough, if they can live long enough to use it. Chapter 1. The Girl Who Made the Lights Behave. I met her on a cold evening outside a university biology building in Manhattan. She didn't know me, but I knew her name, her face, and the shape her future would carve into the world. She was 23, a biology student with tired eyes and a backpack full of lab notes. She walked like she had been awake for days, the way people walk when their mind refuses to leave the problem alone. As she stepped down the front stairs, the streetlights above her flickered twice. It wasn't random. I'd seen the recordings in my time. Little glitches that followed her like a shadow. Power surges. Dead phone batteries. Elevators stopping between floors. The world around her acted like it was listening. She paused, looked up at the streetlight, and frowned. That look was the first proof in the present that her discovery was already leaking into reality. I stayed back, watching from across the street. 26 years old, trained for this job since I was a teenager, carrying a future that didn't belong here. I wasn't supposed to want anything except the mission. Then I saw him, first. He looked like any man in New York. Early 30s, sharp jaw, neat hair, gray suit. Too neat for the weather. Too calm for the noise. He stood under a different streetlight, and that one didn't flicker. It held steady like it was afraid. He turned his head a few degrees, not toward her, but toward me. Like he could smell time on my skin. My throat tightened. The killer had arrived. I crossed the street fast, keeping my voice low when I reached her. You need to come with me. Right now. Her eyes narrowed. Who are you? The man in the gray suit started walking. Not rushing. Not hiding. Just closing the distance the way a guillotine falls, smooth and final. I'm here to keep you alive, I said. And we have about 10 seconds. She laughed once, nervous and disbelieving, then saw what I saw. The gray-suited man moving through the crowd without anyone noticing him. People stepped aside without understanding why. I grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the subway entrance. Behind us, the streetlight above the killer shattered with a soft pop, like the bulb was crushed from the inside. That was his hello. Chapter 2. The Subway That Swallowed Sound. The subway stairs breathed heat and steam, and the city noise faded as we descended. She tried to pull away. Stop, she hissed. This is insane. It gets worse, I told her on the platform. Fluorescent lights buzzed like angry insects. The few people waiting kept their eyes on their phones. Nobody looked at us long enough to notice her fear or the way I positioned myself between her and the tunnel. I needed her to understand quickly, but not so quickly that panic took over. My name doesn't matter, I said. What matters is you. In the future, you become the reason the world doesn't choke to death on smoke and greed. You discover a clean energy source that doesn't run out. She stared like I'd slapped her. I'm just a student. I almost smiled. She had no idea how close she already was. You've already started, I said. That's why he's here. A faint metallic step echoed from the tunnel. Not loud. Not rushed. Just steady. The kind of sound that doesn't belong to rubber soles. She looked toward the darkness. Who is he? An android, I said. Built to pass as human. Sent from a future that doesn't want you to succeed. She shook her head. That's not real. The step came again, closer. The lights over the tunnel mouth dimmed, as if something was draining them. I showed her a small device in my palm. It glowed faintly, blue-white. This is real. It's a locator. It's screaming right now. Her breathing turned shallow. A maintenance door on the far wall opened, and a man in a navy overcoat waved urgently. He looked like a tired city worker, but his eyes were too alert, too prepared. Here, he whispered. We ran. The man jammed a ring of keys into the lock, yanked the door wide, and shoved us through. Inside was a narrow tunnel lined with pipes and old cables. Red emergency lights painted everything the color of dried blood. The man in the overcoat shut the door hard. "Name's Victor," he said, voice tight. "Your friend said you'd come." I didn't have time to explain Victor's role. In my time, he was a footnote, a transit supervisor who died in a random accident the same week the energy discovery went public. He'd agreed to help us now because I told him the truth, that a heavy thud hit the door behind us. Not a kick. A test. Victor's face drained. "That thing followed you?" "Yes," I said. "And it doesn't get tired." Another thud. Stronger. Dust dropped from the ceiling. The biology student clutched her bag like it was a life jacket. "What do you want from me?" "Not want," I said. "Need. I need you alive." The door bent inward by an inch, metal groaning. "Move," I ordered, and we ran deeper into the tunnel while the subway forgot how to sound. Chapter 3. The Discovery That Glowed Like a Heart. Victor led us through a maze of utility corridors to a forgotten service room that smelled like dust and hot wire insulation. From there, we emerged into a place that looked nothing like the subway, a small hidden lab tucked inside an old leased basement, the kind of space students use when they're desperate and broke. A woman stood by the window blinds, holding a phone like it was a weapon. She was in her mid-30s, calm but strained. When she saw the student, relief flashed across her face. "Dr. Reyes," the student breathed. "How did you—" "I didn't," Dr. Reyes said, eyes flicking to me. "He did. He called me this morning and said you'd need a safe place. I thought he was crazy." "I am," I said. "Just not about this." The student's hands were shaking as she opened her bag and pulled out a small vial. Inside was a shimmering blue-white fluid that didn't behave like any liquid I'd ever seen. It moved in slow spirals, like it was thinking. "This is my prototype," she said, voice low. "It's not supposed to do this outside the chamber." The room's lights brightened by themselves. A laptop fan spun faster. The air felt charged, like the moment before lightning. I swallowed. "You did it," I whispered. Her eyes filled with a mix of pride and fear. "I don't even have a name for it yet. It started as a bio-inspired catalyst, something that mimics how cells move energy without burning fuel. But it doesn't stop. It keeps cycling. Clean and unlimited." The words felt holy and dangerous. I moved to the steel table and opened my gear case. Inside was a folded weapon system, future tech stripped down for the present. It looked like a rifle built from matte black angles and coils. Dr. Reyes stared. "That's military." "Future," I corrected. I ran cables from the weapon to the student's glowing device, which we seated into a crude adapter I'd built for this exact moment. "Your discovery can power it. It's the only thing that can damage him fast enough." Victor stood near the door, listening to the building. "How long do we have?" "As long as it takes him to find us," I said. The student stepped closer, watching my hands. "If you're from the future, what happens to you?" I hesitated. The training told me not to bond, not to promise. But the way she looked at me made rules feel far away. "I was sent back because you matter," I said. "In my time, people talk about you like a legend. They call you the woman who gave the world a second chance." Her throat tightened. "And they sent you to keep me alive?" I nodded. A soft sound came from the hallway outside, like fingertips tapping on drywall. Victor backed away from the door. Dr. Reyes lowered her phone, eyes wide. Tap. Tap. Then a voice, calm and male, filtered through the wall. "Open the door." It sounded human. That was the worst part. The student reached for my arm. "I'm scared." I met her eyes. "Stay close to me," I said. "Whatever happens, don't run alone." In that moment, with death on the other side of cheap plaster, I realized I wasn't just protecting the future, I was protecting her. And I wanted to keep doing it long after the mission was over. Chapter 4. The Android in the Warehouse. We couldn't hold the basement. The building had too many entrances, too many shadows. Victor knew a place by the East River, an abandoned warehouse with one main door and long sightlines. We moved through back streets in a stolen delivery van, Dr. Reyes driving, Victor watching the mirrors. The student sat beside me, clutching the glowing power module like it was a living thing. At the warehouse, the air tasted like rust and salt. Broken windows let moonlight spill onto the floor in pale rectangles. Every sound echoed. "This is a bad horror movie," Victor muttered. "It's worse," I said. "In horror movies, the monster follows rules." We set up behind stacked pallets. I held the weapon steady, feeling the energy flow from her discovery into the coils. The hum was clean, almost beautiful. Then the warehouse door creaked open. He stepped inside like he owned the building. Gray suit untouched, face calm, eyes fixed straight ahead. The student's breath caught. "He looks normal." "He's not," I said that I aimed at his chest. "Stop right there." He didn't. I fired. A blue-white bolt slammed into him, lighting the warehouse like a camera flash. He staggered half a step. Smoke curled from his suit. Then he kept walking. I fired again. This time, the blast tore a strip of skin at his neck. For a fraction of a second, we saw metal beneath, smooth and jointed, like something built in a factory that hated God. Dr. Reyes gasped behind us. The android turned his head toward the pallets. "Target located," he said, voice still calm. "Neutralization in progress." He moved faster, not running, but accelerating in a way that made my stomach drop. He cleared the distance like the air was helping him. I fired a third time. The blast hit his face. Skin peeled back. Sparks flew. Underneath was a metal skull with cold, precise lines. One eye flickered red, then stabilized. The student screamed. The android grabbed me by the throat with one hand and lifted me off the ground. His grip was perfect pressure, enough to crush, controlled enough to keep me conscious. My feet kicked uselessly. The weapon slipped in my grasp. The student stood, shaking, holding the power module. Her fear fought with something else. Anger. Ownership. The stubborn mind of a scientist who refuses to lose. She slammed the module into the weapon's housing and twisted the lock the way I'd shown her. "Let him go," she cried. The weapon's coils flared brighter than before, fed by her discovery at full output. The air snapped with electricity. Dust lifted off the floor. The android's head tilted, almost curious. The student's face hardened. "You're not taking my life," she said, voice steady now. "And you're not taking my future." I tried to breathe. Stars danced in my vision. She hit the activation switch. Pulse expanded from the weapon in a widening ring of blue-white light. The android's grip loosened for the first time, his arm jerking as if his systems were suddenly arguing with each other. I dropped to the floor, coughing, and snatched the weapon up with both hands. "Now!" she shouted. I fired. Chapter 5. When the future broke apart. The blast wasn't just light. It was pressure, like the air itself had turned into a hammer. T hit the android's center mass, and for an instant, he looked almost surprised. Then his suit split at the seams. Sparks erupted in violent fountains. His synthetic skin shredded away in strips, revealing metal ribs and rotating joints. He tried to step forward again. Always forward. I fired a second time, holding the trigger down as the weapon drank from the student's impossible power source. The hum rose into a scream. The android's torso ruptured. Pieces flew outward, hot fragments clattering across the warehouse floor. His head jerked, jaw opening as if to speak one last command. Instead, the red in his eye died, collapsed into a heap of broken future technology, smoke pouring from the ruin. The warehouse fell silent except for our breathing. For a long moment, none of us moved. Then the student dropped to her knees beside me. Her lab coat was smeared with dust, her hands still shaking. She touched my cheek like she needed proof I was real. You came back for me," she whispered. "I told you," I said hoarsely. "I'm here to keep you alive." Dr. Reyes let out a shaky laugh that turned into a sob. Victor leaned against a wall, eyes closed, like his body had been running on fear alone. Outside, distant sirens began to rise. New York returning to its normal chaos, unaware of how close the future had come to being rewritten in blood. We didn't go back to the basement lab after that. Too exposed. Too many questions, and the weeks that followed, I stayed near her, sleeping lightly, watching every corner and reflection. She kept working, but now she wasn't alone. Dr. Reyes helped build a safer lab space. Victor kept eyes and ears in the transit system. And somewhere between the fear and the long nights, the student and I stopped pretending we were just mission and target. Love doesn't always arrive gently. Sometimes it shows up after you survive something that should have killed you. One night, standing on the Brooklyn Bridge at sunrise, she asked the question I'd been avoiding. "Do you have to go back?" she said. I looked at the soft light on her face and felt the weight of my timeline pulling at me like a hook. I am the future. I had a life I barely remembered. In the present, I had her. "I can stay," I said. "It will change things." She took my hand. "Then let it." So I stayed. We married in a small courthouse with the city humming outside the windows. No grand crowd. Just the people who'd helped us survive, and the quiet understanding that we were building something bigger than ourselves. Then we got to work. Her clean, unlimited energy wasn't just theory anymore. It became prototypes, then systems, then a path toward something the world had never had, power without poison. Sometimes, late at night, I'd still glance at shadows a little too long. But the killer was gone. The dark powers had lost this round. And if they ever sent something else through time, they'd find us ready, standing in New York, guarding the future with our own hands. If you enjoyed this scary sci-fi story set in New York, make sure to subscribe to the channel, activate notifications so you don't miss the next story, hit the like button, comment what your favorite scene was, and share this video with a friend who loves time travel horror.